Yeah, coming back like Windows 95 out this motherfucker if shit doesn't change up in here, man. Malware on the other PC and just bunch of bullshit. Installed that split media labs on something else. I don't even trust that this won't shut down again, that it's not in the middle of something right now, acting weird. So,
Well, let's get the show over with so I can go buy my new MacBook Pro at Micro Center today because I think you've just convinced me.
you know, as Sal was putting over the iPad last night, I was like, fucking, I got to pop up of this little goddamn thing here or there. So,
Well, the iPad actually, that experiment, I haven't done the full blown podcast with the iPad through the Rodecaster Pro. I've done my podcast plugged in with Switcher Studio, but it does recognize the audio interface. It does recognize through Zoom the webcam as well, the FaceTime camera. So theoretically, I could plug in even that HyperX USB mic on the road and still get decent audio quality. Or use Sal's gaming headset, which sounds just as good as my $1,000 setup.
Oh yeah, man. So as we
except when I open my cup, don't really hear it as bad.
No, that doesn't. That's cup dampening. That's what you're really paying for. As you see, Obamacare, my tag today, we actually are going to have a special sponsor today. If he does join us and all tech works here, hopefully out of the gate, probably in about 40 minutes. We've got CEO Nick Soman from Decent Health Insurance. We're going to talk wrestling union, and they were great to sponsor us. And he says, how do we fit in? I said, well, right now we're all independent contractors, racehorses who can be put down at any time or thrown out to pasture. And, it was definitely a crossover, something he was interested in. And super smart guy. Did a little research on him, man. Harvard Business School and Stanford, bro. So a high mind joining the locker room to get down and dirty with us today, buddy.
Yeah, I just looked and said their insurance is not available in my area.
Decent.
So there we go. No quotes available.
Not yet. Well, maybe he's going to tell us about expansion, but it's just decent.com. I believe it's DECENT.com. So hopefully if everything goes well, I think he's in Austin, so it'll be early if he's up and can make it. If not, we'll record something post and, absolutely put it in here in the locker room Friday.
It's really huge right now, and we'll ask him about it. My wife actually, even with the insurance, did telemedicine. Actually through an app, called the doctor and got the prescription and everything for the flu. So for simple stuff, for $30, and you still can get generic like flu medicine from the CVS. It's not a bad dude. The health insurance is just, he can explain better how what a friggin' mafia racket that is.
Yeah, because I put it over in the pitch. We went back and forth. I went with I'm not sure where this worker fits in his program, but Marshall, and was very interested. I pitched, well, we have horsemen, we have that, maybe people who are trying to get off the government stuff and want to be independent. That would appeal, but we also have as independent contractors and small business owners and people who are trying to make their own way. That's what this is really scaled around. So I'm interested in hearing what he's got to say and, bringing somebody who's probably far above our education level down to the depths with us. So, but yeah, man, somebody who was not feeling too well last night, Stevie, was Nick Jackson. He wrestled with the flu last night on Dynamite, if people didn't know. I was watching him, didn't seem too off, kind of seemed out and dazed, but says Nick Jackson channeled his inner MJ last night in Tag Team Main Event versus AEW in Garland, Texas. His brother Matt revealed on Twitter post-show that Santana Ortiz weren't the only foes Nick was wrestling with last night. He had the full-blown flu. Matt said that Nick was too humble to brag about it, but his older brother was more than happy to do it for him, stating that he's proud of the performance that Nick put on last night. When that main event bell began ringing, he said, Nick laid on the floor in a locker room all day suffering a terrible flu, then popped up, put in a gutsy performance tonight. He won't say it, so I'll do it for him. Proud he's my brother and my tag team partner. That's a shitty thing. I've only really had to wrestle sick once with like a bad head cold, and when I came back, my whole head just drained. I'm usually hacking, like really hacker, me and half blown up when I get back there, man. But that when that adrenaline came down, I felt like I was melting for some reason. But you know, this main event was so overbooked. So I mean, you expected a little bit, but dude, they did this triple table spot and they could have gone home and they went another 5 minutes. And then guys are like crawling into position to get chairs held to their head so they can take a super kick on the chair. And it was super phony in the end of like all these way overbooked spots for the asshole fans, like to feed them and not protect these guys. They could have taken it home on like 4 different high spots before they got to the end, dude.
And this is with one of them with the flu.
Yeah.
So, like, you take that into account and you could probably work something and get maximum value and also not have somebody go out there and either, you know, puke all over the place or defecate themselves
Shit
and
your
everybody
pants,
else. And having a flu, man, I don't know what's worse. I've had both wrestling, the stomach and the head. I would say the head one because taking bumps with a headache, it's probably the worst feeling in the world.
It sucked.
Because it actually rings like the moon, like a bell.
I remember taking a front turnbuckle and my fucking sinuses were like, you asshole. You know, it was bad.
You know what's interesting about that kind of stuff too, that I discovered from my eye. I had an eye exam yesterday. It's a little off topic, but you have a sinus infection, you have flu, you have something like that, and even if you don't, like the eye doctor, they do a thing where they kind of 3D map your eye, and he saw like some stuff along the edge from impact. I mean, not a detached retina or anything, but he was like, you've suffered some trauma, you know, here and there. We all get hit in the eye, and I've had my orbital bone broken a couple times, so that could probably be from that. But you never know, like 10, 20 years down the line, not just your spine, but what price is somebody like Nick going to pay that he could have had a head cold and it could have just rattled shit around in his eye?
It very well could.
Think about all these things as you go on the other side of what they're doing, where I'm at.
Well, just thinking like this is Dynamite. This is a Wednesday night show, dude, and they're overbooking it like it's their WrestleMania. What else is left on the bone, you know, for these guys to do week after week after week and putting in TV? These guys are going to be, one of them is going to be done by spring, like done for 6 to 8 months if they keep grinding like this, dude. There was no reason on a Wednesday night TV show to do the spot show overbooking where at the end we're crawling into positions so someone can hold a chair to your head so the other guy can get a super kick on you unprotected on the chair. Too much. After triple table spots, guys are just going off on the tables. It's just like, guys, protect yourself. We get it. You're over. Let's do smarter stuff. Those guys are awesome at entertainment too. Like, they're missing out big picture on what they could be firing shots at WWE of FUs where we rip SmackDown for putting dog food in Roman Reigns' thing. Somebody should just be backstage eating dog food like it's no thing and like talking, you know what I mean? Like, there's tons of little things there where they if they're going to be the cool guys and take shots, they need to be on the ball shitting on them constantly or ribbing things that suck, you know what I mean? Like they could be ribbing the Lana and Rusev thing huge, but I don't know. That's what they should be doing is immature, like the new DX, right? But we're not getting that. We're getting spot wrestling, and that's not going to get anybody to tune in. So, oh shit, did you hear them? Oh, Son and those guys and talking shit about them. That will get people to tune in because now they want to hear like, oh, the shit talks begin. Now, will WWE respond? No, they're pussies, and then you just keep wailing on them until you force them to crack. That's the whole game they got to play out, and they're not even touching that really. Jericho might get a little line in here or there, but aside from that, not much.
No, I agree. And I would save their body to do every segment that they ever done. Ride a tank up to the whatever building WWE's doing. The most famous thing they ever did really was the rally outside of Raw or SmackDown where Jimmy Jacobs got fired for the selfie.
Right.
People probably still remember that. But they ain't going to remember this match because there was no stakes. There was no story. Was this a payoff for something? This was
for number one contender for SCU's title, and SCU was at ringside in the crowd with the straps over their shoulder.
Oh wow!
I don't get that look, dude. Like, why would you put your tag champs in the crowd to sit there and watch?
Well, I also saw Scorpio Sky maybe the week before the Illinois one, Champaign, Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
fucking wrestling on the Dark show on YouTube as a tag team champion in a singles match for 3-way for no stakes at all. Him, Jimmy Havoc, and the librarian guy. Like, why are you wasting a week of you're just trying to establish your champions?
Right.
And why, I don't know. That's just, it's really weird. And like you said, why are they in the crowd with the straps on next to probably convention marks that also have straps over their shoulders?
Pretty much, dude. Exactly.
That would have been great.
Like, it doesn't make them
people
look
with belts.
It doesn't make them look like stars. When you put them in the crowd to sit there, if you're going to do something, let them sit up at the top and judge, you know what I mean? And just talk back and forth. They don't got to be mic'd or be with commentary or anything. They can just be SCU watching and, you know, maybe have
I don't like that closer look thing. Like, I'm getting a closer look and come on.
Yeah.
You know, Tom Brady's not going to every other NFL game during the season trying to check. There's film for that. In a realistic sense, you're not going to. Now, if you want to be seen, you know what I would do? SCU got over by being the irreverent, we hate this town, blah, 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 and everything. Well, if you got nothing to do and Scorpio Sky is going to potentially be on a dark match and Chris Daniels is still kind of hurt or whatever, send those three, because Kazarian can cut a hell of a promo.
Yeah.
Not wanting to cut his hair and you wanted to put me on a horse and all this shit as he screams at the building on a bullhorn.
Yeah.
There's so much simple shit. We're not using this talent. Where's Raw this week? Where's SmackDown? Send him there.
Hangman Page should be outside, like telling Lana to come out. He's got something special for her and all that shit. Like, get the dick stuff over, right? Like, all that kind of shit, man. Like, play right into it. Like, I'll put you over, baby, and all the inside wrestling stuff. The segment you need to watch this week is Tommy Dreamer on Impact.
I saw it.
Dude, the wrestlers. I pitched, you know, not that it's anything super genius, but I pitched that 2 months ago of like, here's what they need to do. They have the opportunity to do Wrestler's Court. They have the opportunity to do half porn Instagram stuff. Dude, they open with Katie Forbes dropping it like it's hot. They go to that shit. So at least, you know, at least somebody's doing something. And AEW could be doing that and turn it up even more instead of saying, we're going to keep it social justice, whatever. Dude, the Young Bucks got over because of all those overbooked matches and because of the stuff that they did on the road, all the elite stuff and all the rib stuff, you know what I mean? And the inside ribs. They're not doing that as much anymore. Else they do it and they just show it online. It's not featured on the show. So I don't know.
I want to talk about Swinger for a second, because what's starting to scare me, we have the AEW and Impact, I think, has the same problem. And I'm talking about management, because Don Callis is a big fan, I'm sure. And he's probably the one that's writing all these things on my pizzles and doing he's getting over all the old school wrestling carny shit. Don is 100% behind making that happen. It's every old school wrestler's guilty fantasy to rid the whole business by doing that brother bullshit that got him heat back in WWE, you know? He fucking secretly is receding everybody for that.
Yeah.
I know. That's all wrestling is just fucking exercising your demons to fucking get back at other people. But Impact has a lot of people that are marks for themselves and marks for the business and think it's fucking real. How are they looking at Swinger when he starts to get way over? I would think these promos and these segments where he's not so much with Joey Ryan, maybe, but like maybe with the girls, because they take themselves so seriously and calls them Rizats on TV.
Yeah.
I know they can't be happy about that, dude.
Big deal. So that's his world.
I mean, but the fucking the knives start to come out. The little things and the little conversations. It may be a threat of a lawsuit. Who knows? I'm not just giving you.
I got you.
Giving you hypotheticals of. This guy's never been more over, never deserved it more. He deserves it more than a lot of people. He's hung in there for being 100%. Treated like shit by WCW to a degree, really like shit by WWE, and suffering on the fucking indies, waiting for this one shot. And this is him. He's a throwback. He doesn't want to have an iPhone. He hates texting. He hates talking. He hates fucking having Facebook, and he doesn't have Twitter for a shoot. This is all real. And I just hope they keep fucking going with it and don't just marginalize him, because Southpaw is the best thing WWE's put out in the past 10 years, maybe 20. that fucking IPWF thing that Impact did is the best thing they've done in 5 to 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the epitome of both of those things.
Yep. It's since the broken universe. That's it. Absolutely. And if those girls got a problem, that's them being stupid in their ego, because that there's opportunity there. If you want to talk about treating women one way in the old school where they can get their Sandman shit in through him, where you actually do the conversation where it's Rizats and somebody from 2019 has to come into his world and try and school him. Well, that's his world. When you come into that, that's fine. If he goes out into your world, then you can show that, around them.
Dude, sensitivity training for swinger can be fucking 8 weeks of TV.
I know, easily, right? That's it, dude. And yeah, the pizzles. I was hoping after that he was going to call it the rattlesnake. That's what I was like, how old school can he go more and more? And that was just a phenomenal segment on Impact, that Wrestlers Court segment. That whole show was pretty good. There was only 2 things I would have changed. They got that Madman Fulton versus Tessa almost 100% absolutely right, opposite of how they got it wrong with Brian Cage and her. Like, everything was threat of violence, using his own size against him, and quick reversal into something. The only thing he got on her was a press slam from the outside to throw her back in the ring. That's it. It was good. It was good.
Nice.
What's not good? Lana. Lana takes CM Punk to task following misogynistic comments on Twitter. During the recent appearance on WWE Backstage, Punk made some suggestions as to where the current Bobby Lashley-Rusev angle could go. He suggested that both men would eventually get tired of Lana, leading to a loser keeps Lana match with the Ravishing Russia hanging in a shark cage. And then he put loser leaves keeps at Lana WWE match just booked you through Mania, Chica. You're welcome at Rusev Ball, hashtag WWE Backstage. She fires back. I know you've been away from at WWE for several years. Perhaps moving forward, you will favor WWE and Fox Sports 1 by refraining from misogynistic comments like Chica. Thank you. So trying to get into it. In a follow-up of that, too, I saw William Alcia posted in the Hameen Media Group that Vince is over the moon about Lana and thinks she has a ton of heat and that she's doing great.
She does have a ton of heat, but is it ratings heat?
No, it's turn the channel heat.
Yes. And this is the whole thing. She took him to task on Twitter. We just talked about this on The Horseman. If you tweet somebody to stand up for yourself and stand out, it's not real. It's not fucking real. She didn't get in his face and point the finger and tell him he's a piece of shit. Because you know what he would have done? The same thing he did when she tweeted him. He laughed.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? And that's the thing. And you know what? That's a great, that you want to talk about, you're a heel and nobody likes you and you have so much heat. Even the guys don't want to fucking keep you. So there's some new stakes. If I lose, I get her. I don't want her.
Yeah, no,
that
you
could
take
be the
her.
Whole twist in the story. That
You
she's
take her.
just,
Yeah.
Once Vince gets tired of her, which he will, she'll get real heat with him somehow. And then he'll turn around and he'll see that and like, yeah. And then we'll just, because she's such a whore that nobody wants her. You know what I mean? And then, dude, like Lita, fucking Crime Time was selling Lita's underwear to the crowd in that match. Remember when she was fucking being marginalized on the way out? It happens to all of them.
And they think they're over now, maybe because of these little reports and that they can clap back. But, what's not over is WWE Backstage as the 12-10 viewership drops despite CM Punk's return. Punk's return to WWE Backstage didn't quite have the impact that was expected as the viewership of the show dropped this week. According to Showbuzz Daily, December 10 episode of WWE Backstage averaged 127,000 viewers. This was down from last week's show of December 3rd, which did not feature Punk, at 138,000 viewers. The November 19th episode, which saw the debut of Punk as the contributor, still remains the most viewed episode at 180,000 viewers. That's not true at all. When they debuted, they were at 427,000, I believe. And then when, Mr. Pro Wrestling Sheet himself, Ryan Satin, debuted, they went to 49,000. Jeremy, or what's his name? Scott Allman from Jacob Ullman. I'm thinking Jeremy Epstein, Scott Ulrich, what, all kinds
Jeffrey
of
Ullman,
Jeffrey Ullman's. Once Jeffrey Ullman's got a hold of him, and he said, "No, we're going out to dinner," and paid Punk whatever. Then from 49,000, it went to 180,000. So it lost 270% of its audience, then went back up 80% from rock bottom. That still means you lost 190% of your debut audience. It's not a victory, and let alone the fact that now you've shelled out big money for old Philly Phil, and now the week that he's on draws 9,000 less or 11,000 less than the week before when he wasn't. What are we going to do here, kids? I don't see that rating going up above 130, and probably dipping below 100,000 again by New Year's, unless something really would make people watch, but I doubt that highly.
How many like thousands of dollars per person did he charge them to get those people back? He's got to have a minimum of $1 million deal, if not more, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Got to be a minimum.
And you're not even limited dates. Like, they're trying to not overexpose him and make him stale each and every week. There's two different ways to look at that. You can make him a staple, and he just keeps saying that they're throwing these little things out like, this is the soundbite we want. Like you said, Seth Rollins is not a very good guy or whatever. Like these little shooty things, but for 3-minute sound bites that you put up on YouTube, is that going to garner the rating for the entire show? And how many watching football talking head shows like Undisputed, First Take, there's podcasts out there with these different analysts that have their own shows. It's much different. How far can you go unless you turn around and say, hey, so-and-so got a DUI over the weekend. So-and-so has a deal with the office. This is going on. Hey, I got word that this person's deal's up and they're fucking with them backstage. That stuff will draw.
Yeah. Or I talked to Luke Harper in the Ascension today after they got fired. You know what I mean? Like I was going to say, you laid it out on Russo Brand, which you can go to russosbrand.com right now and get the rest of the month for free. Stevie lays this out perfectly on there, where this show does need to be that. If you've got Bobby Roode and you've got Primo and those are your stories that are hitting the sheets, and I hate to sell for Satin or whatever, but that's what his job should be. That's the guy who can take the heat, who's not in the locker room, that everybody can hate, who can break that news, and then it pitches to those guys having to be shooty about it instead of it coming out of Punk's mouth first or what have you. But until they really break the fourth wall and feed to the smarks where it can be open talk like the locker room or like the Raw and SmackDown review, these little sound bites, like Stevie said, are not going to toe the line. It has to be full shoot, bang, bang. Renee's got to be off of it. Anybody who's affiliated, who's going to be on WWE TV, can't be on that show because they need to not worry about what's going to happen to them on WWE TV, because this show has to be as really raw as it possibly can be to get people talking about what's going on and tuning in.
But for now, just subscribe to the Realm Network. That's about all you can do. But
they should be able to talk about AEW and NWA on it if they really need to. Sorry, go ahead.
You need a moderator, and then you need at least 2 or 3 of the boys to just go around and just they aren't working there anymore, but they're pulling in a really good paycheck from Fox, so nobody can say they're bitter about anything.
Right.
It makes Fox look like they're in charge.
Yeah.
That's the thing too. Fox acting like they work for WWE. You paid them $1 billion. They work for you.
Exactly. Yeah. And if they got budget to do that, they already overblew it on Punk, and they knew that now they're going to know the hard way that he's not going to draw them the numbers. So what do? Switch up the format, make it a $2,000 to $5,000 spot. I guess some guys would need more. You're not going to get Hogan for that. But you could get Hacksaw to come in and shit on something, or you could get, somebody to come in and say what's up about an angle that way. And, Hacksaw, I'm sure, would have plenty to say on money they left on the table with Rusev. I'd like to see that shoot. You know what I mean? There's a guy who knows.
What would you have done with this guy?
Yeah.
Being the American guy with this Russian coming out in a tank at WrestleMania. Well, how much money would you see in working with this guy?
Yep.
Even if you have one of the boys, I think you would be great at that. I think I would be really good. I think Russo would be amazing to be a moderator and say, how would you handle this? Like direct the whole show in a shoot way of like, how would you book yourself against this guy? Or what would you, hey, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, you and the Sheik got busted on the Jersey Turnpike. This guy just got busted for wellness policy.
100%.
How did you react to that when it happened to you? Dude, everybody would want to watch that.
And he just got out of the hospital. He's not working. Like, let's get some real content. And, he'd come in for under 5, and that'd be awesome shit, man. Like,
you know what you do? You know what you do by doing that? You kill the dirt sheets.
Totally.
You create your own information, your own flow of information. What can they do except regurgitate what you've already seen for free on TV? Why do you need to spend $12 now?
No. That's what they need to do, is to be able to make themselves a target, but they run the sheets openly, because you can't do it half-assed. Like, it has to be somebody with the integrity of running these independent media companies who are going to ask the hard-hitting questions. So, and there's a bunch of them out there, from the guys hitting the marks, for our guys there with Jargo and Vickery, to Gorilla Position podcast. A lot of these affiliates and guys who should be getting a shine, who could be, instead of the one or two guys they give access to, which are yes men. They need to have real open conversations, and even let those guys brand shine. If you were going to do it, be like, hey, let's go to the sheets. That could be a segment. They pop up WrestleZone. They pop up ProWrestling.com. They pop up Pro Wrestling Sheet to get sat and shit over. You do 3 quick headlines and you're fucking on, dude. And, that's all it is. And on to our headlines.
How long do you think it is before that guy shoots himself in the foot?
Oh, he already did before he even got a job there. That's why he's hired by Fox and not WWE. Like, I bet they'll lock him out of some access at Mania and shit like that, because people are like, nah, fuck that guy. Nope. Brandy Rhodes giving keynote speech at NATPE, NATPE, Miami 2020. Late next month, AEW Chief Brand Officer Brandy Rhodes will be kicking off the National Association of Television Programming Executives Conference in Miami, Florida. According to the announcement by the convention, Brandy's keynote address will, quote, discuss the groundbreaking new wrestling league, its unparalleled diversity, and its inclusiveness, and how AEW, alongside Warner Media, plan to compete and succeed in an industry that's been monopolized for decades.
So is she going to do that dressed as Dracula?
I think so. That'd only be appropriate,
What are your thoughts on that? Has she really been out there as the Stephanie McMahon, ever since the TV shows debuted? I've only seen her as a character, not as someone who has represented this brand. Yeah, she's been Cody's arm piece for most of these red carpet things and stuff like that. They haven't really featured her as the brand officer. Oh, I'm sorry, brandy officer.
And that's what it'll be. It'll be her, Stephanie McMahon light, with a PowerPoint presentation, Sonny Kiss, and what's his name? The transgender one they got.
Nyla Rose.
Nyla Rose will be sitting there. And, they'll all be looking pro, and they'll take the big ad age picture together. Oh, empowered people of all genders coming together, and female CEO, and it's all placement and gaga. Yeah. Well, what's Brandy? What network has Brandy worked for before to work her way up to executive vice president? What workflow team building process has she championed? What Fortune 500 marketing companies has she put out product for and brainstormed and creatively directed product from inception to market for? Because those are the basic steps that take 7 years to be even considered for a vice president position, let alone an executive vice president position. Just going, we're hiring some queer people off the indies does not make you qualified executive to speak on anything along those lines. All they're doing with Warner Media is, like I've said on other shows, whoring out this LGBTQ movement that became a complete marketing ploy. If you were to go through down New York City Times Square, every corporate shit store, from the M&M store to the Hershey store to the Lego store, had full rainbow everything. So what are they really doing here? It's nothing more than a complete shill. And this is where they're capitalizing it off of trends, because Ad Age magazine says for the next year it's going to be this, and then the pendulum will swing. How do you capture Tea Partiers in the wake of the election? Like these articles that people don't ever read, but this is who they're appealing to, and they just got to do this to be Stephanie McMahon light. I don't get it, man.
So it's Warner Media, so it's Time Warner, so it's technically something connected to TNT, which means it's kind of like a paid advertising thing, or something where they know they're in bed with AEW, so they're going to try to feature this thing to get some ratings. And what you just said, how to capture this person and how to get this demographic, is just like, how do we work these motherfuckers to get their money? That's literally all it is.
Day one of my marketing class, I say marketing is the most ageist, sexist, racist thing you can participate in, because you have to classify everyone and figure out how to appeal to them in a stereotypical way that will get to conversions, because it's all about percentages of what they have fucking appeal to. So you have to break people down in that way, and it's not a personal thing. It's being a scumbag salesman and how to get conversions at the end of the day.
I mean, we ask the question from time to time, is the bloom starting to come off the rose, and are the people going to see through the facade of this whole senior vice president group and everything they're trying to do, and or are they just going to all? Was she smart enough to realize early on, I can't really do both of these things. I'll just be a figurehead on that one end, but I'll be a talent, because doing the other shit is way too hard, and there's no glory in that.
Yeah. Why does she even need to be on camera? I would take her way more seriously if I just saw her as a branding executive and she did that kind of stuff. Awesome Kong doesn't need her at all. Awesome Kong is a 15-year pro. And has been over, and there's no reason for her to have any affiliation. This is after Brandy was sexy side piece Brandy, Miss Elizabeth, and now she's the vampire. For what reason? Get off camera. We only want to see you sparingly when Cody needs you as the hot wife there. If you really want to be taken seriously with this other shit as a corporate, executive, then that's what you do. You don't go and do the other thing as well, because it just looks like, I'm going to go play this today, and then I'm going to go play that tomorrow. See what I can do? It's bullshit. It undercuts any credibility.
And everybody who hates Hunter and Stephanie for what they do seems to repeat the same pattern.
It's identical. Let me smash your throne to show that I'm done with these chains and I'm a free thinker, and then let me do identical things to what I hate. I don't get it, man. I don't get it.
Still waiting for the health insurance and equal pay.
Hopefully we will be getting joined here within the next 10 minutes. I haven't seen. Better check my email real quick just to see if they did hit me back. Oh, new ZordosOliveOil.com sale. I believe we had one while we were down there. Appreciate that, you guys.
We got a couple good comments here that I read.
Yeah.
If I can't find. Oh, here it is. Some Punk 82. Skip Bayless. He's like basically the biggest. He's worked himself into a great spot. He got paid by ESPN, big money. Now Fox Sports 1, not even Fox. Skip Bayless gets paid $5 million a year, and these are the ratings. The 2019 average was 169,000 through August 5th. And then there's a backstage promo off with Samoa Joe and LeVar Harrington. I got to watch that one. But that's a great comment, because this isn't an indictment on WWE. This isn't an indictment on Skip Bayless. This is an indictment on whoever the money mark is at Fox that's willing to overpay for these talents, unless Skip Bayless has some kind of agreement where they're really making money on the back end with him. But then again, there are marks for Skip Bayless. Just like ESPN is a mark for Stephen A. Smith, probably pays him $5 million a year when they cut 100 employees during the same year. It's a lot of different things. Like, it really comes down to Jacob Ullman I'm a fan of Punk, so I'm going to give him a couple million a year. Had nothing to do with looking at the numbers.
Who's Jeremy Ullman's boss?
I don't know.
Wow.
Rupert Murdoch's not there anymore, right?
No, but there's no way that
there's got to be a vice president.
There's two
Sports,
steps.
right?
Yeah, there's two steps in between that.
He's an executive producer, isn't he, or something?
Yeah, they got executive producers out the ass. So, that doesn't mean you're a decision maker. That just means you're getting carte blanche to go direct this show and make sure it gets to TV in time. That's an interesting question. Because if you've sunk 270% and you only bounce back 80 and you've leveled out and you spent a lot of money and things aren't getting better, there's a lot of heat
on
a
company that's $1 billion property that you spent for 5 years never even started. It only hit the baseline the week one and hasn't sniffed it.
When there's guys out there who offered help and were ready to back you, and now what happens, and other people may move in.
Where are we standing on that hill? Is that where you were at?
Yeah, I'm shining up the scope right now, baby. NWO's going to Hall of Fame. Everybody heard about it. You got 4 guys that were basically going at Vince as a shoot, pushing hard to try and take over. Hogan told ESPN not put him out of business, but basically take his spot to be the number 1 company. All of a sudden, you're inducting 4 guys into the Hall of Fame 20 years ago who were trying to stab you in the back. It's like Vince says in the WWE, never say never, brother.
Who had said that again?
Hulkster. I believe so. Yeah.
I thought that was Shane Douglas that was saying are they just reaching now? Are they just let's just whatever gimmick the same guys are in, let's just reinduct them into the Hall of Fame?
All 4 of those guys are already in, right?
Yeah.
So why, dude? This and even not to take away from Batista's achievements, but dude, no, you don't go in when you're a top star into a Hall of Fame. That's 15 years from now. Like it cheapens the whole prospect of it. Like, all right, cut it back from however many they do, 8 or whatever, to 4. Let's start there. 1 is post-mortem, moratorium in a retrospective look back with the family. 1, could be your woman's one, obviously. Maybe your tag team or manager, and then your super legend like a Billy Graham or what have you, right? Like that's all it needs to be. It doesn't need to be, well, he was in Guardians of the Galaxy. We fucked that up, and now he's hot again still. So let's bring him in. He's going to be a ticket seller. We can get one more match out of him. Like, you're not fooling nobody, and all you're doing is shitting on your own product. Once again, you're shitting right on your own floors and being like, what smells in here? It's just unbelievable. How about that Bautista clip I sent you from Bear Grylls? You see those 2 in the chat?
Yeah. Putting
over, got fined that $100,000 for gigging, like wrestling had passed him by. They were pushing him out on the way out, like making him, no sell, and the business is changing or whatever. And dude, after all that money he made in WWE, he said he was pretty close to broke. And that he got those first two movies, Man with the Iron Fist with RZA, and then he got something else quick after that. But he was pretty much back to zero until he got Guardians of the Galaxy, man. So just the ride of, like, I'm not saying he blew his money on dumb shit, who knows, but the IRS was investigating him, had him upside down that way, I lean against his house so he couldn't sell it. Just fucked over every which way but loose, right? After this whole fucking perception of being the biggest WWE star, is one of the top guys,
Yeah. Are you excited for a 10-minute Bella speech?
I can't
Bella's,
wait. I'm pumped.
I want Asuka to induct them.
The Bellas
might actually happen as a.
Are you ribbing me that the Bellas are getting inducted?
That's what I heard.
Fuck out of here, dude. No way. How could that be true?
You just said it before. Ticket sellers.
I don't think they are.
They got that. No, I mean, for whatever they think. Someone said The Rock isn't in. They're saving The Rock when the ticket sales are at their lowest for WrestleMania weekend. That's in their back pocket where they're going to bring that out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We know about Primo and Bobby Roode getting popped there, but update was that Primo's was based on a script that he had that had run out. I don't know. I'm always weary of those type of gimmicks, like stories. You know what I mean? Like, if the guy's on pills and he pops for it, then that's that. I thought it might both be Peds because I heard Carlito was coming back. My thing would have been like, all right, dude, we're going to get a push. Let's get in shape, you know. But here we are again, not talking about it on Backstage, not putting it over with a guy that isn't even on shows. When was the last time you saw Primo? And now they got to throw him under the bus publicly. Well, this could be the opportunity to push those guys, you know what I mean? And do the heartfelt story or whatever it is. But I don't know. Well, I think it's just a quick burial of people who might have been asking for the release. So maybe they slapped them before they could step up. Who knows?
It's always good to get that final insult on the way out or something, and to see like, no, it's kind of like, you know, I quit. No, you're fired. And by the way, you fucked up on the way out. And that's why you're getting fired, because you weren't a good employee at all anyway. We were just doing a charity thing for you the whole time. You know how they kind of make it seem like you just didn't measure up. You didn't get over is the fucking greatest thing. And the 1A and 1B, one, I know it's almost 10. 1A is you didn't get over. Well, you didn't put me on TV. Number 2, creative didn't have anything for you. So we're going to fire the wrestler and not the person that couldn't fucking write something for the wrestler.
Yep.
So when I can't take a bump and I'm hurt, fire a writer. That's what I used to say. And they'd be like, that's ridiculous. I go, it's just as ridiculous to fire talent because writers can't write.
I say, you know, watch Stevie do 8 weeks of character to build up to one match while he's hurt. And even in that match, he doesn't have to do anything. You just have to flick him on his neck or his eyebrow and he'll drop like a ton of bricks and get it over. You know what I mean? Like, that's where the fire of the writer comes in. You can't come up with a creative way. An injury or anything like that is an opportunity to tell a whole new story. So, and they just pass on it. Guys get marginalized instead of playing the empathy and plucking those heartstrings to get them to come back.
You know, and the writers have to be careful too, because not now, but the writers can say stupid shit to talent and not realize who the fuck they're talking to. The guy who worked with Russo in Impact and TNA, I remember I was wrestling AJ and it's 10 a.m. Right, I'll tell that story.
It's all right, man. Yeah, as we come to life here. How are you, Nick? Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, you sound great.
Oh, excellent. Well, welcome to the locker room here. My name is Ben Doer, a.k.a. Ben Hameen. This is my co-host, Stevie Richards. Man, we want to say thank you so much for sponsoring this show today.
Man, thank you guys for busting your asses, and you ought to have better insurance than you do. So I'm here to talk about it.
Better than nothing?
Now, are we on video? I mean, does everybody get to see how good I look? Or
yeah,
is this
you
audio
look
only?
excellent. No, man, we're actually live right now at twitch.tv/Conspiracy Horseman. It's just easy for me to download shows, and our great followers, they're so loyal. So when that signal flare goes up and they want to blow off work, they come hang out in the locker room. So we're going to get down and dirty, man. I was doing a little investigation into you. Harvard Business School, Stanford, man, and now you're hanging out with some low down dirty wrestlers, man. This could be, word gets out on the street here. Your whole cred could be shot.
Look, man, my cred is already shot. I sang in a shitty punk rock band in high school. Nobody likes me anyway. I mean, but I wouldn't get into those schools now. And if you like conspiracy theories, I got a real good one that we should talk about.
I am into it right now, man. Because
I want to start off with a compliment really quickly. What I see behind you, Nick, even the worst house hunter wife on that show would not want to demo that kitchen behind you.
I'm glad you're talking about my office in that way, Stevie. Thank you very much.
Nice, man. Stevie would be out there too, making all kinds of shakes all day long, man. So we're super happy to have hooked up with you through podcorn.com. We've kept our medium open as a free medium, and to be able to pitch to Marshall on there and had a really good rapport with him, I thought it was excellent. And I was so glad you guys wanted to fit in here in the locker room where we are independent contractors. But I definitely want to hear about your conspiracy theory, man. That's what we're really into.
Man, it's not a theory. So my question is this. Can I cuss on this show?
Absolutely. Fuck yeah.
Okay, cool. Because this is some fucking bullshit. And this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. So I got paralyzed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the first thing you should know is I got paralyzed and I had to learn to walk again. And that's happened to me twice in my life. And that gave me a real down and dirty view of healthcare in this country. This conspiracy theory, but like some of the good ones, it's not a theory because this is just true. And I can explain the math behind it. health insurance and healthcare is too expensive in this country because health insurance companies make more money when the costs go up instead of down. I'm going to tell you what I mean by that because it's really messed up. All these companies that are out there saying, oh, we care about affordable, compassionate patient care. We want you to get the high value care for you. Because of something called a medical loss ratio, they take a fixed cut of the total cost of care. Now, you guys might be down-home wrestlers, as you said, but let me ask you this. If somebody told you you can have 20% of any plate of chicken, you're going to take the biggest one you can get, right? Mm-hmm. So this is why the costs go up in this country year in, year out, is because the system is designed to screw over the little guy and let these big companies make more money because they take a fixed cut of the total cost of care. So that's what we're fixing at Decent. Self-employed people need better insurance. Stevie, if you don't have any insurance, I'd love to be able to help you out.
I'm lucky to have a wife who actually has common sense and a job, but
good.
No, but we're looking to always venture out on our own, live her dream too. So that's always something we can look forward to, and to pass the information along to people out there, because a lot of people we inspire, and I'm sure you do too, to become independent contractors, to live out their dreams, be their own bosses, control their own destiny. And if something like Decent can help them take one stress away from growing that business, that's a good deal.
I love talking about Decent, but I want to talk about you guys a little bit. So sure, was wrestling your path into kind of living that dream?
Well, I'm was more of a creative side. I'm a comedian, and I came up as a song and dance man, and then I did a lot of comedy in Chicago, and I wanted to take all that improv to wrestling. So I moved to where WWE's minor league was. Started training at 29 years old after paying my dues elsewhere. And now 13 years later, I do everything from, college professor, marketing, run my own social media business, and run Hameen Media independently. So I have two sides of my clientele. But when it comes to wrestling, after performing the whole way up from age 12, there's no bigger high than the wrestling performance, man, when you can control a whole crowd with a look. So it's pretty insane. And then, to really get that payoff and take them on a journey over X amount of months too, and to be able to tell a story, not like how when you do a play or a musical, it's, once it's done. We can go on a much farther series ride, and when that pays off, that's really, edification for that too, man.
First of all, don't you cuss me out about Stanford and then talk about edification, number one. Number two, look, let's talk about how it really is. And I know you two guys know what I'm talking about. Now that you're at the top, you've done what you've come to do. You built great things. Now you get to talk about how it's gratifying, and I'm with you on that. That's so exciting. Those first years, when you are just trying to figure out how the hell you're going to do anything, and does anybody even care? You guys remember that?
Oh yeah, 1-bedroom apartments and all that shit, man. Where you're just
living in a garage.
Yeah,
I did that stuff.
Yep.
It's gratifying in part because of how hard you had to work to get here, but it shouldn't be so goddamn hard for people to go out on their own in this country.
No, I think that 9 to 5 and that indentured servitude and the financial slavery system stuff, everything is designed to keep you just busy enough so you can't get do good but don't do too good type stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stay busy
get by but don't
farm.
Get ahead. That's right. But Stevie, look, the costs of healthcare have gone up 8 times faster than wages in this country. You want to talk about what stole the American dream? And I know this is a conspiracy theory podcast, so we could talk all day about that. We might agree on more things than you think. But a big piece of it is that if healthcare gets 8 times more expensive than your wages going up, how is anybody going to get ahead? I'm motivated to work on this problem. I mean, look, we could have a beer and you could call me a social justice warrior. I'm doing this because this shit's too expensive.
Well, no one's going to argue to the point, I think, in politics when when you really need it and you go through that frustration. And we've talked about this on the Conspiracy Horseman even recently, is the mind control mindset that USA number one. Oh, and the Canada system or any other European system. Sure, I would wait 4 hours instead of becoming a fiscal slave for the next 6 years of my life or something. why can't we break through the barrier in that stupid American mindset, that bullheadedness where everything else will adopt and take in, but there's a few things, and this is a key one, where we just keep getting fucked and we love it, and so we can bitch about it, so we can continue to fucking cunt off online about this kind of stuff, man.
You know what it is? I'm super with you, and it's because my parents are doctors, and I want to give all due respect to doctors. Doctors deserve a lot of credit, not all the credit. Some of them are overpaid. Some of them aren't very good. But people recognize that it's important to have a relationship with your doctor because they're the ones going to keep you healthy. The largest leech industry in the world has piggybacked on those doctors and said, okay, we're going to use the trust of those doctors to be able to get people to think that any type of healthcare is just something that's going to always be crazy expensive. The doctors aren't being the ones fucking you over for the most part. The doctors are the ones that are, you use the word slaves, in many cases, slaves to these insurance companies saying, okay, I can only get reimbursed if I see patients for 8 minutes at a time. I can only get reimbursed if I see patients for 12 minutes at a time. I realized something last week about our company that I'm really proud of. We are an independent company. We work with independent people, independent contractors, self-employed people. We only sell through independent brokers. The doctors, the primary care doctors in our network are all people that have escaped the matrix of what's called fee-for-service healthcare and gone out and created their own practices. And it's only by working with these independent people that we're going to be able to take down this system.
Yeah, to follow up on that, the whole thing, by the way, I don't understand why the American people just didn't uprise after the Obama lie of you can still choose your same doctor, the prices aren't going to go up, all this other stuff that happened many, many years ago. And then the behind the scenes with the lobbyist in the insurance industry after he got elected, like a lot of stuff that was just like on PBS.
See,
it wasn't on Conspiracy Theory Channel.
No,
PBS documented it. But skipping ahead to that, talking about these doctors, the doctors are being the good doctors are being driven out by that model that you just described, not yours, but the main one, because why should I spend all this time to basically just be the same as a 9-to-5 employee? Why don't I just do something else, which is only going to make the healthcare worse and then in a way make it more expensive?
But it turns out they're just like the three of us, to the extent there's a commonality here. And I think there is. These are people that said, look, I'm going to bet on myself. The ones we work with that have escaped the matrix. We talk about the people that woke up in that system, and instead of saying, I guess this is how it has to be, we want to burn it down. Those are the only people that I hire. Those are the only people that we partner with. And I'm on this podcast talking to you and not some snooty schlubs. And so, look, the deal, these people have decided they're going to make less money. They're going to take a bet on themselves, and they're going to go out and run their own practice because they don't want to be slaves to that industry anymore. And I find that really, really inspiring. So every single doctor we work with is in what's called a direct primary care model. And whether you like decent or not, whether you're in Austin, Texas or not, you should look at direct primary care. If you're trying to take care of your health care, it's unlimited primary care with your personal physician for a low amount a month. You can get it either with insurance or without insurance. Our plans happen to be the first plans that integrated into the middle of the insurance, so they're your quarterback for your care. But direct primary care is cool because think about what happens. If a doctor takes a flat fee every month for unlimited primary care, they don't want you to be sick. They took your money. They don't want you to show up 17 times. It's not like the regular system where they get paid every time you show up. And so these folks are actually rooting for you to be healthy. And so if you're listening to this podcast and you're just trying to figure out healthcare, check out direct primary care. This is actually a mission and a movement that's happening in this country to escape what's going on that keeps costs going up and up and up.
I love that. You know what I'm actually going to do too, and not just because of value of how we're talking here. And this is the Friday Locker Room. We have such great crossover. This does big numbers, and we wanted to talk about independent contractors of wrestling. But you're such a, with the renegade movement of trying to burn that shit down. I'm going to clip this into the Conspiracy Horseman this week as well, because this talk needs to be heard. If we don't have the wrestling fans crossing over, absolutely, I love it.
Hell yeah, brother! Because I believe what I say to that.
For sure, okay, man. For sure. Because we are trying to break down those confines and people like, to attack big pharma or whatever. And the other slavery systems, student loan debt, where that's the next big promise from the politicians that will forgive all that. I'm like, hey, you bought my fucking vote. Let's see if you come through. But, I don't need healthcare really because Hameen Media built the Obamacare website. So I'm still living off that $1 billion from my successful web launch.
Get that money.
Yeah, it went really well. No problems out of the gate. So,
yeah, I remember everybody loving that.
Yeah, that was all 5-star feedback. It was good.
All they had used was Squarespace. They could have just, they would have been fine. Just paid the 2% fee or whatever. I got a quick question because I think one of the biggest headaches for not only going through any kind of, injury or sickness, illness or whatever, is holding your breath, waiting 6 to 8 weeks for something. You always get, oh, this is not a bill. This is not a bill. Then third month, something comes in as a bill.
So now we're really going to fuck you. Yeah.
Yeah. How does all that red tape and everything else, because it sounds like you're not a fan of it either, just by your reaction.
Yeah.
How does Decent handle that type of stuff with the logistics and the processing of all the claims? Like you said, you can go see your doctor 17 times. How's that look after I actually see the doctor?
I'm going to answer your question directly, and then I'm going to give you the deeper why behind the answer, because I don't want to get lost in it. So the direct answer to your question is, on most of our plans, you'll know what you're going to spend before you go to the doctor. And that's how it should work. And it should be cheaper if the place is cheaper, and it should be more expensive if the place is more expensive. And of course, we should think about quality, not just getting you a shitty heart surgery would be terrible, obviously. But half the problem here is, look, you sit at your desk, and I bet you shop on Amazon. This is the only major industry in this country where you can't go and have some sense of what something's going to cost you before you go. So that's the first problem we're going to solve. The second problem that we solve is if you go and see a primary care doctor, which is what you can do for the majority of your care, that costs you nothing. There's no copay. There's no co-insurance. And so every little bit of care that you can get from that primary care doctor, from having that relationship, you don't have to worry about a bill coming because there's no bill coming. It's only for the stuff that's outside of that, where if you needed specialty care, if you need emergency care, for most of our plans, you'll have what's called a copay that you know in advance. So you go, okay, here's what this is going to cost me to go do it. Something that we've got coming out next year is if you make a smart health choice, we're going to pay you. If you fell down and you got an MRI and you spent less than the prior local average cost of that MRI, I don't want to keep that money. I want to give some of it back to you because you made a smart choice that kept the system clean. Now, here's the deal. This is really not some genius stuff. This is just some basic, how can we make it so we don't benefit on the backs of our members? Instead, we only benefit when they do, when costs are kept low. And here's a cool thing that's happening. 80% of the big companies in this country, and I don't think either of us likes big companies, but they do some things right. They figured out that they can save money by self-insuring. They can pool some money themselves. They can have some insurance that's called reinsurance that covers downside risk in case a bunch of people get sick. And they can save 20 to 30% instead of paying Blue Cross Blue Shield. So what we're doing at Decent.com is we're letting the little guy, the self-employed guy, the business-owning woman who runs her own business, the freelancer who's a creative, band together and get those better rates through that same model, just like the big companies do. Because the history of America that nobody wants to talk about is little guy, powerless guy gets screwed. And that's the thing that we're trying to work to solve.
Yeah, over and over, as we've seen that in the media landscape to whatever, of just consolidation and partnership. And now, like once you get to 4 or 5 companies to dictate everything that you see, read, watch, ingest, that all under, they might seem like they're not related, but they're all under one bigger corporate umbrella. You just know the brands.
I think they're starting to fuck with us. I think they're starting to give little clues, like when the bad guy wants to get caught. When you call yourself FANG, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, when you call yourself Cobra, because you're the government-run healthcare system that's supposed to save people that lost their job. Are you kidding me? I mean, you're looking at these things and they literally take the heel name. Yeah. And I think it's because everybody knows that these companies are not out for your best interest. If we want to fix this, whatever your politics are, we're going to need to band together and go to war with the army we have.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can't go to the war with the army you want. That's a surefire. Yeah,
Hey, I do want to talk about insurance for wrestlers because I saw Alberto Del Rio did something interesting. So my Spanish is pretty choppy, but Nacion Lucha Libre is the best I could say it.
Yeah.
They're actually offering health insurance to wrestlers. Is that a game changer? Is that something that's important?
Well, we as we talk about this in the locker room right now, it's AEW. Cody Rhodes' Dusty Rhodes' son's fed with Tony Khan from the Panthers. It's his father's money.
Jaguars. Thanks for
Jaguars.
You just
whatever.
showed how much of a football fan.
Yeah. If they're not the Giants, and I give a shit if the Giants suck too this year. So, so they got $100 million of daddy's money to blow through. These second generationers, right? You got WWE, who's got everybody as an independent contractor, and they will take you and run you as a Kentucky Derby racehorse. And if you do one little thing to piss them off, they will take you out back, put a bullet in you before you can go and have anything else, you know. So there's been talk for years of unionization and what we need. Now there's an independent wrestler, this guy David Starr, who is working with Actors Equity in the UK, and they've provided some people with that to get the ball rolling. However, he's kind of a hot button topic dude because he goes all in on the Zionist and Israeli stuff. So you kind of like, all right, if that's what you want to do, cool, but we need you on your other missions. So people don't kind of want to cross streams. So it's a weird spot, but AEW could have used unionization as a crippling blow to WWE to say, because they're on the SJW stuff of promoting trans equality and a safe space for everybody, but they're really not promoting quality of life for wrestlers. They're making a lot of the same mistakes. Stevie, you've talked to this. Why don't you take over here, man?
Yeah, because in their initial thing, Ben covered it a lot better than me in the beginning. They were doing a lot of press conferences and they were talking a lot of pie in the sky theories that were like, wow, we're talking about equal pay for everything. I mean, they were throwing just these, it sounded like politicians in a way, equal pay for everybody. Okay, what's that pay? Well, it's depending upon an experience. Wait a minute, then it's not equal. Then they said they're going to be like a family. I know Ben. They were basically giving all these hints that we are going to treat the wrestlers like human beings, not like Vince treats them, not like other places treat them. So we were bringing up unions and all this stuff where Cody took a big step back and said a wrestling union or anything looking like that with insurance and benefits would kill the wrestling business, which was basically, in my estimation, said, hey, I got my fucking money now. You guys take care of yourselves.
That's fucking bullshit. I want to make a direct offer because I don't like that highfalutin talk either. And if somebody's going to treat you like a human, it starts with how they talk to you. And so this is my offer. I want to help the wrestlers unionize. I mean, shit, I have my own day job. If health insurance ends up mattering, this isn't going to be a really, money creating thing for us. But if you just want somebody who has had to spend way too much goddamn time on the phone with lawyers helping you figure this out for free with no connection to decent, people ought to be able to do this. Unions used to have some power in this country, and whatever your politics are, they were a counterbalancing force. And I think that would be a hell of a direction for folks to head, although I understand that right now when the greedy corporate overlords have the power, it's tough.
Nick, watch out. Robert De Niro is behind you, Nick. Robert De Niro is behind you. Look out.
I just think it was, I think like Ben said, that particular thing would have killed the WWE because you would have looked at that and said there's a congressional hearing. You would have brought up the independent contractor versus employee thing, which basically 15 of the 19 things are basically, they go on the employee side of the checklist. I worked in WWE for 10 years. There was never a time where they didn't tell me where to be, when to be there, how long to stay, when I could leave, how long my match was, how to wrestle my match. Like whether
single employer, don't have a chance to go out and wrestle for other leagues. Dude, you guys are fucking employees.
As independent contractors.
There's even things too. This is the part too, Nick, that bothered me the most, and not because it happened to me, but I saw it happen to many young people that maybe didn't have the mental toughness to handle that kind of treatment. When you have a legitimate injury, but you're lower on the card and you have to wait because a top guy just wants his knees wrapped, and you're sitting there with your hand behind your head, like with a broken, I'm exaggerating that, but you're legitimately injured and need care. But the top star, because of his position, is more of a human being with more human value than you. That kind of sums up the wrestling business, right, Ben?
Well, even in that, it's worse than that, because when you are a top star, you can go to the CM Punk Colt Cabana, podcast where he throws Dr. Aman under the bus that caused the whole situation, where he's coming back and he's got something serious stab, and they're just giving him Z-Packs. They're just giving him more and more antibiotics instead of addressing what's going on because, yeah, pal, I don't care. I want him back out there. We need him for WrestleMania. Send him out. And he's just giving him whatever, dude. So the doctor there, without stooging it off so we don't get sued, could have been beholden to Vince. And, healthcare is not the most important thing. It's get him out there. The Kentucky Derby's coming. You flog that son of a bitch till he can't run anymore. And then we'll come
So
up
let's
with
talk
some
about
reason.
how it should work, because we're going to talk about taking the power back just for a minute. And I want you guys to know this is some brass tack stuff. I'm not even a smart dude. Literally, all I did is figure out how to make the incentives not be so fucked up. And this is what I mean. If we were going to create something ourselves around healthcare, and we didn't just think the answer was if somebody gets cancer, fuck them. Because I personally don't think that's the right answer. I think people have to have answers, and we have to take care of each other, whether that's coming through a faith, whether that's coming through politics, whatever. So we'd probably put some money in a pot. If there was money left over at the end of the year, we'd probably keep it in the pot, or maybe we'd take some of it back. We wouldn't feed all of it to some greedy, gigantic company. And if one of us found a way to save money that all the rest could use, we might say, like, hey, you know what? You can have a little bit of a finder's fee for finding those savings. That's literally just common sense. That's how the system has to work. And if you're against me and we're both against Stevie, and some corporate overlord is getting richer the more sick we get, call it sick care in this country, not even health care, it's never going to work. Nobody is bigger than their own financial incentive. So all we've done at Decent is created a system to band together. Because what you guys would do, you'd have that talk among your wrestlers, and then you'd hire some nerds like us to make sure that things flowed in a transparent way and that nobody was getting fucked over. And that is what we're building.
And that seems like, without any of the two big companies, because it's so carny. We're still dealing with, the shadiest people in the world trying to create a false reality. But when it comes to the boys and what we're actually doing, and your body's being racked for 10, 15 years, boy, when you hit your 40s and 50s, Stevie, run them down the list. Give them your top 10 fucking things so far, man. Neck surgeries,
No, I was right there with you, Nick, and I'm very blessed because I don't know if it was luck or whatever to have it happen early in my life to be able to take care of myself and come out of that. But I understand too that what we're doing is a choice. So anybody in the chat room listening, watching, what we do is a choice. But when you're in that, there's also other choices we should be afforded, whether you're an athlete, a mom, a 9-to-5 worker, a government worker, or an independent businessman or woman. You need to have these choices in order to do this. So the question I have, just shifting for a second, is people are asking, like you're saying, how you want to help and do all this stuff and everything. How does Decent make its money? Because you got to make money to keep the lights on. How does that model work? It sounds like it's pretty generous in the end after you guys obviously kind of, make what you need to make. But how did that model come about to balance the profits with trying to do the right thing?
Yep. So Decent makes money by administering plans. We're not a health insurance company. We administer plans. Remember me talking about hiring some nerds that would just make sure the money went where it's supposed to? That's exactly how we make our money. We get a flat amount per member per month. It's a tiny percentage of the total amount paid in just to administer these pools, so that the great majority of the money can either be kept to cover your claims when things happen, or can be paid out to the members themselves for making smart health care choices. That's how Decent makes its money. And we're not inventing anything new there. That's the exact same model that the big companies use. The only difference is that these big companies have historically been the only ones that have the power to band a whole bunch of folks together and say, we're going to hire nerds to go administer these plans, but really the money's ours. We're making it possible for the little guy to have that same treatment. And pretty soon we're going to be able to serve not only the self-employed and business owners, but small businesses. And that could be startups to coffee shops that want to band together and get that market power. Because honestly, it does come down to financial leverage. It comes down to the money. And if a gigantic company like Google can do it, all we have to do to be able to get the same mechanic to work for us is to make this model big enough that we've got thousands of people and eventually millions of people that are serving themselves instead of being slaves to some gigantic company.
I like
that. A follow-up question to that. Yeah. Just because obviously we're in a high risk category, what we do and everything, and a lot of insurance companies would shy away from even insuring us, or it's say if they found that midstream, there's no way we're covering you again. How does that work with Decent? Because you are taking on, if some professional athletes say, XFL players don't have health insurance from what I know either. What if you're getting all these people pulled together and we take up 75 to 80% of the pool and we start using it?
What I would say, I do see, but I want to throw a couple things at you. Health insurance isn't broken in this country because of professional athletes. Health insurance is broken in this country for structural, systemic reasons, and because our population's getting fat they're getting out of shape, they're getting cancer, they're getting heart attacks, and they're getting sick kids. That's what's really driving the cost. I would be happy as hell if a whole bunch of professional athletes joined our stuff because, among other things, what you can do when you have more control over your own system and you're not slaves to regulations or to the gigantic, ginormous companies that are making these rules themselves, I can say, what sort of injuries do professional wrestlers have? A whole lot. I'm going to make a guess. I mean, you guys have what's an injury that comes up more often for the
injury.
Knee injury. Right. Here's what we do. With sufficient scale, we go and we hyper hard negotiate like a union would to support knee injuries in the best local place to provide care for knee injuries. And look, if it's not in the United States, we just brought somebody in network that does surgeries in the Cayman Islands. I'm going to tell you something amazing. So there is so much waste in healthcare that for the same cost as you getting the average recommendation for, let's even call it a big surgery like a knee replacement, there's a very good chance that I can send an Uber Black to your house to pick you up when you choose. You can eat caviar on the way to the airport where we'll fly you out to the Cayman Islands. You can get that surgery. You can stay on a beach while you convalesce for 2 days, and then we can fly you back and you still save money from going to your bullshit hospital down the street that's charging you an arm and a leg. So the answer to your question is, when you have market power, you have leverage. And when you're creative about how you use it and people have the right incentives, we can unlock the ability for you to get the world's best care, and it doesn't have to be in the United States of America.
Stevie, you're working heat on my knee in the next match. Fuck that. I'm going to the Cayman Islands.
Hey, that's great to know because people, USA number one, right, Ben?
Exactly.
We can't ever go anywhere because everybody else is dying everywhere else from their hospitals. Like I can't go in the hospital because I think the ceiling will fall on everybody and kill anybody at every moment. But
you didn't know that if you have a meniscus tear in the Cayman Islands, that's a death sentence, bro. They just take you out back and put you down. There's no. I mean,
I'm proud to be an American, but I'll tell you what, I'm proud to be an American, and I feel proud to be an American when I help make America a place that we can be proud of again.
Well, yeah, America's based on rebels. And unfortunately, these, whatever corporatocracies are going to rise and do what they need to. When it was, the HMO plan of the pool that you kind of discussed of the 90s of that, what it was. And then, of course, they got to take that and they take that model and turn it into a mutual fund, hedge fund for them all. When what you're describing with Decent to me is very similar to the open books policy I have with my media company of, hey, 20% goes back to the guys who sold the shit. The rest gets reinvested into the platform, and we got to have our money survive, and that's what the 20-25% is. It's not about overblowing it to get max percentage out of everything. Fuck that.
Yes. That's exactly right. And when you have these systems we're up against here, I mean, I'm proud of what we're building, but we're early days. Decent.com, we already in the first year have done a little bit more than I expected we'd be able to. We came out and we said, we're going to try to make the most comprehensive, most affordable comprehensive plans we can in the first year. And I'm proud of this, and it's going to sound like a startup brag, but it's really not. It's meant to talk about how fucked up the system is. A new entrant should not be able to negotiate to get better deals and offer better rates than the big guys that are out there and have been making, billions of dollars a year, unless there's something systemically wrong that is causing them to overcharge. It shouldn't have been possible for us to come to Austin and say in the first year, before we've got claims history that we can point to and say, look, we're able to save people money, et cetera. We were able to offer the most affordable plans in the Austin, Texas market for self-employed people that don't get subsidies in their families. I'm proud of that, but it also suggests how long a way we've got to go. And so from that perspective, I'm super, super excited to sync up with you guys again in 3 years, right? When we've actually been able to build that claims history. Because what happens is, if we can prove that by harnessing the power of this group, instead of being slaves to these companies, we can go and find better solutions for ourselves. We can bring those prices down and down and down. And that is what I would be proud of. I'm not proud to just be serving only people that, can already easily afford insurance. And thankfully, that's not all we're doing. But there are a lot of people that need help.
I think so.
I think their biggest weakness and their biggest weapon against them right now, Nick, is the fact that they're lazy and arrogant and they think they're over, as you say in wrestling. That's why they're ignoring you right now. And let them ignore you as long as they want.
I'll tell you what, Stevie, they're not totally ignoring us anymore. I get pinged on LinkedIn once in a while from, hey, director of strategy from something. And I kind of, for the most part, I say, hey, thanks for reaching out. and I don't engage, because you know what? Souls are for sale in this system, and I don't want to go there.
Yeah. Once you put money into a labor of love, it fucks up everything. We say that around here a lot, man. And
whether it's piano lessons or or anything else.
Yep,
That's right.
Yeah, and at my company here, doing just local is 1/10 of what mass media scale is. Where they come in and they want to sell my clients 30-second commercial spots throughout the month, $1,500. When I go, I'll charge you $150. We'll do it all social media, and you'll get true engagements, true conversions, instead of these overblown prices where these fat cats did just that. They just relied on their laurels as they consolidated everybody, and they said everybody's got to come to us. Well, the underground's always going to rise up, man, and do what it needs to. One thing
I thank you for doing that. I want to throw one thing at you. I'm there because the price point is great, but I'm there just as much because, Stevie, I went and watched your Do Something episode. And I went and watched a couple of the early things that you did, and I decided this is someone I could work with. In fact, I was sitting over here with Marshall, who you guys have talked to, and you have a video, I don't know if you remember this, where you said, a lot of people look at what I do, and who the fuck is this guy? Who the fuck am I? And I watched that, and number one, I empathize with it because I got too many things going on in my life. I'm a father. I run this company. I've got a million other things that are going on too. What I see is that you guys are trying to break the stranglehold of letting the world tell you what you are. And that's kind of exactly what we're after at Decent. It shouldn't, at the end of the day, be about us. It should be about the people we can help to empower.
Awesome.
That's great stuff, man. I wanted to say, if we can get the big celebrity or sports endorsement, not just from what we can offer, but I don't know if you watched Ballers at all. I'm sure.
Of course.
Did you like that? I like the whole go home because it was about them getting insurance, even in the NFL or their faux NFL, and they had to show the old players. Well, Stevie and I are becoming old players in this game pretty quickly on our way out. So who is going to be there to say thanks for busting your back? Because since we've seen crowdfunding, we've seen it for everything from Sabu needs a hip replacement to whoever to save this guy to their funerals, their tombstone. That's how legends in this business have to do it, and so you can see Jake the Snake cry or whatever to do this so everyone gets their feel good. There's got to be a better way.
Who's going to be there, Ben? You are.
Yeah, I hope so.
That's the only goddamn answer, and that's why we need to get you involved, because you can't ever be counting entirely on somebody else.
Right, and I like that win at the end of Ballers.
No pressure,
Yeah, I'm there, you guys. I'm not getting hired by WWE. I might as well fucking do something, right? Shit.
Look, startups are a young man's game too. I turned 40 in February, and I'm old by these standards, and I got to make something happen before I die.
Well, I think this synergy, man, is what we're definitely in it for, and I appreciate you just going in to see what me and Stevie are about, and I feel like we're definitely connected on a better wavelength than just hey, let's sponsor each other and see what we can do, man. There's some of that going on with products we have, like manscaping.com. If you want to shave your balls, you can do CV20 and go to manscaping.com and get the lawnmower 2.0.
I want to shave my balls, I'll shave my balls, but okay, yeah.
But those aren't really doing it for us when it's the bigger picture of everything.
You know what? I want to come back to something you said, because it's right, and you didn't say it in these words, but I heard it. It's when you talk about some of the stuff you guys talk about, and some of the stuff people would agree with, some of the stuff you won't agree with. I bet we would have a beer. I bet you would call me a social justice warrior on some things, and that's fine. I don't give a fuck about that. But some of the stuff you're pointing at is real, and it's serious. And that's what we're connected on. We're connected on the ways that these systems are set up to fuck people over.
Absolutely.
And that's why I get excited to talk to guys like you. And look, you may be wrestlers, but you're both smart as shit. I can tell. And so, I think the question becomes, we could sponsor something small for you, et cetera. But honestly, this makes my day to be able to talk to guys that make me fired up, to realize there's this problem that exists, and it's not just for people in my industry. It's you too. Anything I can do to be helpful, whether there's money attached or not, I'll do it.
Oh, we appreciate it.
I was going to say really quickly, that's the whole thing. That's a reflection on how society and how ideas need to be, whether you agree or not on some of the stuff. Too many people, once you disagree with one thing, now you officially hate the person and don't want to listen to the other 99 things. We just had what people would consider a huge argument on the Horsemen last night. We've had arguments in the past about religion. 2 Christians, 2 atheists on the show. Last night, we had an argument about certain things in history, and we were just for almost an hour we argued back and forth, but never but that's the spirit of debate.
Let's talk about it. I don't care if it was the Holocaust, I don't care if it was Christianity, I don't care what it was. Let's talk about it. It needs to be part of the ethos of this country, and it used to be, and now it's not.
I think that's the thing about health insurance, about healthcare in the country too, is you're trying to have that discussion. And I don't think anybody's really talking about that until they get their shit. I need to get my shit first, and then we'll figure out this.
Yeah.
We need to have a real discussion. And I'm hoping that the ideas of 2000 to 2020 election will hopefully spark some kind of stuff on this level between more people that can really make something happen.
100%.
Yeah, the pendulum's got shifting back now. It went as far one way as it could, and now it's got to be there. So hopefully in that next year it doesn't go past it, and we can get to a unification, like you said, of the truths, man, because that's all the conspiracy horsemen are about. We're workers. It's our job to make false realities for people. Nobody's going to out-carny us. If you're a CEO, we see you a mile away. Quick, though, Seth Rollins suffers minor injury. PW Insiders reporting that Seth Rollins broke his pinky on Sunday at WWE live event with Rowan. Rollins was not allowed to be physical during Monday's edition of Raw, but he is expected to be cleared by this weekend.
I'd recommend our Trailblazer plan.
Okay, excellent. That's what I figured. Excellent. So Seth will get you signed
Pinky
up.
Coverage.
Pinky. And any other hot news in wrestling you want to? Oh, let's see. Dakota Kai injured following big bump at WWE NXT. WWE's NXT Twitter account confirmed that Dakota Kai has suffered an injury following her match with Mia Yim last night. Dakota Kai defeated Mia in an excellent singles match during the show, and after the match, they continued to brawl. The two ladies ended up in the production area where Mia Yim put Kai through a table with a side suplex. But says WWE's medical team has immediately tended to Dakota Kai. She suffered a laceration and is currently receiving staples. Stay tuned to tomorrow's #NXT Injury Report for further updates. Stevie, #NXT Injury Report. I think you need to follow that one, Nick.
I will do
it.
You know, this is the one thing about wrestling and about athletes, Nick, and I think it needs to change because just like the country, there's no preventative health, and wrestlers don't think about how working out and how dieting and how taking care of themselves and getting proper rest and really self-care can be the biggest thing to extend your career. I didn't even know it until I got into really my 30s, late 30s, until I got so many injuries. I needed to take care of myself to a certain extent. Unfortunately, that reaction or anything is the country's problem too, that we don't think about what we need to eat or how we need to work out until after we have a heart attack. And I know preventative will keep the cost of any healthcare plan down.
This is why our plans include unlimited free primary care with your personal doctor. And I don't like shilling stuff. Check out Direct Primary Care. Decent works with Direct Primary Care, but whether you're in Austin or not, Direct Primary Care is probably available in your area to do exactly all that preventative stuff. Now, the other thing I'd say, Stevie, the pots of money out there are so big because of these greedy, lazy dinosaurs that are making money when people spend more, that if all we did was we found a way to redirect some of that money to the people that make good choices, that is a way to transform healthcare. We're working on it.
Would my band programs be a good choice? Maybe these fat cats are like, man, you $15, you need to charge $15,000 for that program.
Exactly.
They may not be wrong, but look, I know you'd be the guy that would let the data be your guide. So let's make that data free.
Awesome, man. Open source everything, open source healthcare, open source thought, you guys.
Yes.
And open talk on the Friday Locker Room and always on the Conspiracy Horseman. We'd love to have you back if there's, on Conspiracy Horseman to talk further of the industries and all this. We're on the same page, man. And, absolutely with Decent, giving it the shine across the platform. I think this has been a great conversation and put you in, maybe in touch with David Starr here to get the ball rolling. I'm not trying to I
love it, man. I really appreciate it. And beyond the business we can do together, I love the hustle.
Thanks, man.
And I feel pretty values aligned, which is pretty wild for people that probably would argue over a Thanksgiving dinner. So let's do it.
Awesome, man. Well, we appreciate you, and thank you so much for joining us here on the Friday Locker Room at hackerhameen.podbean.com. You guys go to decent.com, or as Bubbles would say, decent.com, and check them out, you guys. And the solutions for entrepreneurs, 1099ers, designers, and people just trying to break out of the system, working for somebody else's dollar. When they tell you, oh, we have benefits, you're like, I got my own motherfucking benefits, yo.
That's goddamn right. Over time, they're gonna have a hard time holding you alligators down.
That's right.
And I can't wait to be part of it.
Great, man. Well, thank you so much for joining us and being a part of this today, man. It was a new experiment for us out of the box, and I couldn't be happier. It's gone so well.
All right. Thank you, sirs.
Have a great day, dude.
Bye-bye.
Wow, that was pretty cool, man.
Oh, he sounds like a Wednesday night guest,
Right?
doesn't he?
Right. How about him and Dr. Jonda together, man? Maybe we'll do that and revive that if we can kind of take an angle on something where there's going to be something divisive going into election-wise as a point. I think that is a high-level mind to have on our side who knows industry where we can only speculate sometimes.
The thing though is, and I don't know if it's our own, because we're sort of always going to be a little bit in the bubble because we can't wrap our head around what the first step would be, not to unionize, but to get like if you even walked into a locker room and said, hey, this healthcare company will be the one healthcare company that will cover you because their model is completely different. They keep the costs down. They go by market rates. They try to get the best deals. And if there's money left over, you could potentially get some kind of reimbursement. And there's a preventative aspect. Maybe your gym membership is 50% off, or you get all these things that the healthcare companies used to do.
Mm-hmm.
They would look at you straight ahead and go, oh, you want to start a union? And then they wouldn't hear anything after like health insurance. Like it's almost like looking a gift horse in the mouth.
Sure, but I just see the potential. Like I know you've probably thought about this, and I don't think we've talked about it. Have you felt that when you lay your head down on the pillow at night, like, fuck, is it gonna be me? Am I gonna have to be the one to like try and step up and get this done? We've got so much on our plates, but that union thing, you know, is a big thing, but. Do you ever think that is that just delusions of grandeur, or the fact of that we want everybody to benefit and we're willing to lay on the tracks to do it? But like, fuck, is everything that we're doing as the atheist our fucking destiny or divine intervention, where they're pushing Hameen and Stevie with Nick from Descent and to David Starr, where we just had, like, you know, the best will always find each other, even if it doesn't feel like let's run towards that convergence? Don't you feel like something's pushing a little bit? Like, I don't know if that's my own delusions.
Well, mainly, there's a few different things. I lay my head down every night and I think about a million different things. That's why I don't sleep. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think about like on a bigger picture type thing. Like, it sounds so much like a mark to say, like, what's my legacy going to be, or what am I going to be known for? What do I want people to think? Even being the resistance band guy, it's kind of cool. But what am I going to do? And what are we going to do to really change the world? There's so many things that are so far out of our reach right now, but that particular thing just might not be, because it makes the 13 years, 20 years, 30 years, however long we've been in the business, Russo too, to not look like it's all in vain and we just basically got tossed to the side, that we really can make a difference in pro wrestling and leave a legacy behind that people can benefit from for hopefully generations to come.
Exactly.
Does it seem too fucking idealistic? I don't think so, because anybody that's ever been attached, like they had Wrestlers Rescue way back, it still turned out to be a carny thing that wasn't quite, you know, set up with the right people. I mean, the intention might have been good, but it turned out to be whatever. These GoFundMes can be a little suspect and carny at times, right? When you're looking at some of the amounts.
Yeah, definitely.
You got the so you look at different stuff like that. I think our credibility and what we're doing and how we stuck our necks out for so many years with the conspiracy stuff, and now it's all coming to like, oh shit, they were kind of right about all that stuff. We start to gain a little bit of credibility. Sure. Plus, we're not somebody that has an agenda. Our agenda is basically, dude, we really want to make a difference. We really want to do something. And to our own satisfaction or fulfillment, we want to have a legacy that means, like, that's kind of changing the world. If you can change, even on an every company or every independent level outside of WWE and AEW, if you can offer some type
the opportunity
help.
Right. It doesn't have to be union. You can't get booked on shows unless you're union. TV shows book union and non-union people all the time. You know what I mean? If you're just limping your way into the business, you're starting to get booked. and you're not getting paid and you're on ring crew, that doesn't mean you got to pay a $200 union dues every fucking whatever to do that. I mean, if you want to get to that point, that's fine. But a guy like Joey Ryan and those guys who don't have health care or what have you and wouldn't want to, that's the option for them, or me or you or what have you, like, sure, you can work up into that if you want to, or different levels. I'm just speculating how I think it may work. We're such an early phase, but I feel that not just this sponsorship from Decent helping Hameen Media grow as an independent media organization, which I'm super honored to be able to do that. We're going to talk more about Podcorn coming up in other shows. But man, here we are once again, pebble in the pond, ideas that are circling around us, and I'm not going to fucking I'm not going to ignore that. I'm not going to say that isn't what it is, because it's not about, I don't see any opportunity to be making money, and that's not what I care about. It is about the legacy of saying, when we're 60, well, shit, we could have done that and nobody did that for us, and they did that then. Well, how about the guys who are 60 now? If we could get something even basic done in the next 2 to 3 years for, I don't know, name a legend like Hacksaw, like somebody like that who's going to be needing extended care maybe in the next 10 to 15 years and has no options. I feel like that'd be something, far beyond any monetary gratification. And at the end of Ballers, it was pretty much that exact fucking go home of the story. And is there a reason that that's in our universe for us to see that story and be like, that's what we need to do?
I think another thing that makes it different for us is our DNA is a lot different than other wrestlers. What you just said about making money, it's in their DNA. It's in the DNA of most wrestlers outside of the ring. You still got to get yourself over. You have to get the credit for everything. It's the reason why the fucking show sucks so bad, because everybody wants to just carve out their little niche in credit and then hold anybody back that's going to really bring anything positive to the table. It's the reason why you're not working there, because it's not because you're not good and you're not creative. It's because they don't want you there.
Because they saw my matches.
No, we're not going to get you in the ring. We talked about that. So the insurance will go up too much. But in all reality with that, like, we were legitimately, like, it's cost us money because we haven't pushed an agenda of ourselves enough. Yeah. We haven't been, I was going to talk about the fitness industry. I forgot to bring it up because it is the health industry. So dishonest, so many carny people, so many people promising miracles, so many people trying to keep you uneducated about working out and about fitness and nutrition just to keep you on the hook to pay them more money. It's similar. And I think that's why a lot of wrestlers won't unionize either, because they're like, what's in it for me? Not like, what can we all do?
That's why it almost has to be presented as like you pick 'em package, like how we're getting cable now. Oh, you want to be in the union and just be known as a union member? Cool, $25. You want to go in the healthcare tier 1? Okay, $125. You're working all the time, you got to go, you've already had injuries that you got to have rehab, tier 3, $300. Whatever it is, it could be that system for people to move up, or even a retirement tier of guys who've paid in and not taken anything out, that kickback will roll over after they're done in the business and retire. Everything they paid in is just their end push that they can pull from, like a pool for themselves,
I wish to God that he had it available in this area, because I would make a video series testing it out and make sure and comparing it and doing all, like, there can be some real content creation here to see the journey of how it's used in area, because there's so many things out there about nightmares. If it really is like the process that is seamless and easy, and you know exactly what you're paying for, just that alone, people will be like, wow, that's different. Because I'm usually waiting by my mailbox to see how I'm going to get fucked three months from now on adjustment. My wife gets it all the time. She pays the copay, and then 3 months later, the adjustment to the copay thing or some kind of other thing that the insurance said they would cover but didn't. And this is a government health plan, which, by the way, they cut every single year for her government job. And her rates go up, her benefits go down. So why the safety net of saying I have benefits with a company or I have benefits with my government job are bullshit now. So, like, that's why it's good for her, because I said you have no reason to keep this supposedly secure job, because we're paying the same as we would as independent contractors anyway.
Sure. Absolutely. And, hopefully he can get this thing to grow quickly. And, man, I don't know. I'm kind of taken aback because I watched a video of him earlier of what I could, just trying to get to know the guy's personality. And I'm not trying to shit on that work, but this guy who we had on was much more personable. The other one seemed like in front of an audience, maybe a little more had to keep up the airs of what was going on. This dude is somebody I want to work with. You know what I mean? Where he's got a mission, he's got the intelligence, and he's got the knowledge. And it sounds like with his teams in place, he knows how to get things done. And, it seems like a wild west of the underground rising in the healthcare sector, and that excites me. Anytime we can take a big fucking or even just a small bite out of the corporatocracy, I'm there to get my heat on him, man, for sure.
Yeah, and he just followed up, thanking us for the the conversation, which was cool. He followed up just like that.
Absolutely.
It's weird when you get some, and we're just we don't know the guy that well, but like I said, like you can kind of see through. We've been around enough workers and enough people to know, and the truth will be in his actions. Like you said, come back a year, 2-3 years from now, if he follows through and does all that stuff, then absolutely.
There wasn't any shill there. Go to decent.com, sign up today. No, dude, we're talking about real American problems of our own mental incapacity versus healthcare while people are dying and paying exorbitant amounts, and we just keep taking it on the chin like it's okay because doctors from the 50s were raised up on a level to be our top people in our society, and they could never fuck us over, right? So now their credibility's shot because the corporatocracy got them and made them puppets for them so they can hide behind it, fleece us to 800%, 8 times as much of what things should cost, up to 15 times. So my internet connection is unstable. Well, no shit.
Yeah, but I can still hear you. Your video just kind of like crapped out for a second. It's tough, but just like the people who, we were talking last night on Horseman, and every week people will comment and their cognitive dissonance will kick in major. Like, oh, what do you the healthcare companies and the government and all these other people are not your friend, and they're not doing what's best for you, and they want to keep you sick, big pharma, all this stuff and that. What the fuck is wrong with just taking care of yourself and trying to stay away from the doctors and the hospitals and the medicine and the pills and all this shit? They treat that like it's a crime. Like, oh my God, look at this nutcase talking about, whatever.
Did you
talking about anything outside of the drug commercial? Sure. With fucking 45% of the commercial are the mumbled over side effects that could kill you.
Well, let's get to the real conspiracy. Did you hear about OxyContin in 1990s at all? No, people are on hydrocodones or Vikes from the fucking, or Somas. OxyContin comes out fucking 2003, 2004. We're at war, shipped to Afghanistan, and fucking, all of a sudden they're providing oxys to everybody. Everybody's getting hooked on legal H. Oh, well, we got a problem with oxys in this country. We got no more oxys. They can't prescribe that. Well, but we're all hooked on oxys. Well, now you're going to have to go to heroin. Well, heroin's been out of here since the 70s and 80s. Oh, little ones, we have Afghanistan. Now there's heroin everywhere. We didn't have heroin before, but where the fuck is it? And now we have a heroin problem everywhere. So big pharma, insurance, fucking military industrial complex, and your government all in on it on a
Don't
way
forget
to
the CIA.
And CIA from moving this shit from the 80s, just like they did, same programs. And here's where enough's enough of that. Like, fuck, let's really pump the brakes and get away from them. So the more we can chip away at them, not just with decent.com and insurance choices, is all choices that way, where we see these games getting worked around, man. And like Matt Hardy.
Now you see why we hate like watching 5 hours of wrestling every week when all this other stuff needs to be
done. Yeah.
Discussed.
Yeah. What's his, the ref on Twitter? I'm drawing a blank.
Corderas.
Yeah. Corderas puts out TLCs this weekend. I just retweeted with a comment. Fuck. That kicked me in the nuts after we got off with the Horseman. I was about to edit, dude. I was like, God damn.
Dude, there's going to be a no-show. eventually one of the boys was going to no-show because even they didn't even like,
they
wait a
didn't
minute,
know,
the
like,
pay-per-views today?
What?
I'm home.
And it could be this guy. Matt Hardy claims his countdown to Arcadia has begun. Matt Hardy once again appeared on WWE Raw last night in what was a losing effort to Drew McIntyre, who mocked Hardy and his family before the bell. Despite a strong effort, McIntyre picked up the victory in the match, and afterwards Hardy took to Twitter to reflect. He stated that he knows his slump and losses won't last forever and that his countdown to Arcadia has begun. He says, I've received so much love and support and sympathy tonight from the most vocal audience. Without you, there's no me. Thank you all. And obviously a broken Matt gif to back it up. But William Alessia, some great news reporting in the Hameen Media Discussion Group, also put over the word is that match was supposed to go 10 minutes longer. And it got cut because of the Lana Rusev segment, which was absolutely gripping stuff, going too long.
That crowd noise, and I'm not being mean because it's designed that way and it's not Matt's fault. That crowd noise will not be so loud if this continues week in and week out.
No.
They're killing them. And this whole thing of you have the Twitter and the social media thing where you're really building up the anticipation. It all gets instantly deflated when you have your match cut 10 minutes and you get squashed by Drew McIntyre. And then you say it again, it becomes white noise. Now, he's always going to sell gimmicks. He's always going to get booked. He's always going to make money. But like you said, how many millions are lost on the table?
20 million.
But not by also by him staying there.
And not just for that. That gimmick could have facilitated so many other people to shine and get them
absolutely.
over.
But I'm saying they're doing it and they don't give a fuck. But Matt's going to have to repair all the damage after he finally does leave. And it's possible, but how long is it going to take, man?
I say let him do something totally different and new. If he could come up with that, he can come up with something else too.
But there's no control and power for Vince and Hunter and
no. I mean,
Bruce
once he's gone,
Paul.
once he's gone from all that.
Once he's gone, Tony Khan would sign him right away and give him that $50,000 and see you in a month.
Yep.
Show me what you got.
Yeah, that's all it would take too, man. But I'm not even going to rest these other three headlines. After that, we've given you plenty of show today. Awesome with usually I wanted to call him the doc, even though he's the insurance guy. The doc's in the locker room sometimes, man, and he can talk some shit just like they can everybody else. Some of the docs that I run in up here in New York are some of my favorite people in the locker room. They're some no bullshit guys, man. I was also thinking of one piece of news: the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame looks like it's going to be reborn here, International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame in New York. One of the commissioners here, I've bashed other commissions. This guy is A+, Verano, and he's fought for 20 years for mixed martial arts, boxing and wrestling rights in New York State, and that was kind of his baby. And I wrestled a lot of good shows in Amsterdam there. You actually worked a show there with I believe Dynasty, so it's a good wrestling town. But that Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame had to close down. So it was kind of shitty because 2CW had great stuff there. I got to work a lot of legends there and meet a lot of great people, the Hart family to, Rick Martel, and to see that come back and have a physical presence, because people were bitching about WWE Hall of Fame and like, he shouldn't be in there. Oh, they shouldn't be in there. I go, oh, you guys want to get together this weekend and we'll all take a road trip together and we'll go to the Hall of Fame and visit it. Do you want to go, Stevie, with us? What? No, they were bitching about WWE Hall of Fame. So I'm like, yeah, we'll all get together and go visit it. Where is it? There isn't one. So stop So stop bitching like WWE Hall of Fame means a fucking thing when this thing actually paid the respect to wrestling. The wrestlers who are in there and belong there from around the world who might not ever have been WWE guys are put in there, and it has some real credibility and respect instead of X-Pac got in twice and Bautista got in and we're going to argue about that because we're marks. No, it's not a real thing. It has no credibility.
I hope that the International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame has the same springboard, because a lot of guys only go in there so you can get booked on signings and independent shows, and the Hall of Fame thing actually puts your fee up a little bit.
Yep.
I hope the same thing happens here, that it actually is something that promoters view as something. I would, I mean, not that I would ever deserve to be in that, but I would that would mean a lot to me to be in something like
dude,
that.
of course you should be in there with Raven and Blue World Order.
Twice. I'm going to get inducted twice.
Yeah, you should. You should. But to be honest with you, I don't think it would be for another 10 years. I just have a real problem with Hall of Fames inducting guys who are still in-ring, good-looking young dudes. Like that shit is to bring guys out and honor careers, not to be like, he's got the shine, fucking let's get a shine off of his shine because we're not over. And International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame definitely does that, pays respect to all the guys from Maritimes to Japan to whatever, and make sure that they're not even independent guys, local guys, regional guys, so they're not getting fucking dicked over, man, in their legacy. And who knows? I was thinking while he was talking, like that could be a prime place to let that dude do a keynote there, get the ball rolling, get it in front of the commissions. Hey, we can do this. We can get this going. And then the old timers be talking shit. I could use some cheap insurance that way and have a little safety net. So,
you know where another place that would work?
Cauliflower Alley Club.
One place, WrestleMania weekend.
Oh, sure.
WrestleMania weekend.
Yep. The
or
big
WrestleCon was all the indie workers. You have more of an audience that would listen, obviously.
And I think maybe that's the first steps. Maybe it's Nick, maybe it's David Starr, maybe it's us doing a little speaking tour to be like, we're shaping this up, we're getting ideas. Here's what it might look like, and who knows, a year or two from now, that's where we may be.
Not a bad idea. No promises, just little stream of consciousness tour.
Yeah, put it out in the universe, man. That's all we can possibly do. As we converge here before the bell rings at the end of the new year to drop the ball once again, we'll see where we're getting booked or where things are going. But it's exciting times here at Hameen Media Group, getting to partner with people like this to create synergy for all of our brands, man. We talked about it, StevieRichardsFitness.com, ZordosOliveOil.com, big sponsors, RussosBrand.com for a free month over there, you guys. Entertainment while you work out and then go make healthy food. What the fuck more do you want? I can't tell you any more than that, Stevie, except to use Stevie's Amazon affiliate code, you guys, because everything there, as we start new funds to buy a haunted mansion in Auburn, New York for $50,000 to become the Horseman's Escape. What do they call Justice League's, the Fortress
Hall
of
of
South.
Justice.
Hall of
the
Justice.
Hall of Conspiracy.
The Hall of Conspiracy. All right. As we go to do that, and there's going to be a lot of manual labor and sanding of porches and sheetrocking, so all help will be welcome there, you guys.
I'm just going to put 5G Wi-Fi throughout the whole thing.
That's fine.
And just put irony over the router.
It'll be good, and we'll have as many cats and dogs as we can fucking wrangle and rescue. So
I put that moon video out right after the show last night.
Yeah, dude, the stills. I actually hit up Jenna Frito too to see if she wants to come on because I saw her stills were up. I don't know if you clicked in the Horseman chat. No, they weren't. They were, very similar. But I love seeing that, man. You had great shots. So check it out. Stevie Richards, is it SRB episode or is it just a
No,
video?
that's just a straight up. I'm putting up dedicated Moon stuff with the soundtrack. So it's
Cool.
It's an icon. It's on the Moon playlist on the YouTube channel. So search Stevie Richards.
Yeah, man. Awesome stuff. It calms me down after I get stressed just looking at it. I'm like, oh, fuck, yeah, I got to look at that for a while. And I was going to say, we were coming back from that Crossfire Canada show, said to Sideburns, I go, holy shit, look at that, man. It was Orion. Okay, you can usually see the belt, maybe 1 foot and the head. I saw everything, dude, both feet, the head, and then the 5 stars that make the bow in the arm. And it was pointing down at the earth, so it was like he was laying flat. But I'd never seen the whole constellation as clear as I did this past weekend. It was pretty awesome, man. So I knew you were going to get good stuff.
Cool. I can't wait to go to the mountains where the air is cleaner. There's not
no
as
light
much pollution
yeah.
and you're higher.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be really, really good.
I'm anxious to see you get higher too, buddy. I think it's only better for everybody as we close it up here, you guys. Your Friday Locker Room, ProWrestlingTees.com/bin/Stevie Richards. Get yourself something for Christmas you really want instead of some old bullshit that your grandma's going to give you, and you got to look at it with the $5 face slap eyes and ruin the holiday once again here at hackerhameen.podbean.com. Yalla. Decent.com.